Welcome to Food Shrinks.
All right. Hello. Welcome back to Food Drinks for this week. Hello, my friends.
Hi.
We have been getting a lot of questions about hormones in general, whether you're still cycling, whether you're in perimenopause or menopause, and wondering like, how does this affect your food addiction recovery? So we thought today we'd talk a little bit about our own experiences. We also wanted to share some client experiences, and hopefully this will help inform your journey. So
Yeah.
what about you guys? Have you had some experiences, whether it was with your own menstrual cycle, that you would be open to speaking about today?
Well, it is lunch with our best friends, so
Yeah.
So
go
go ahead,
ahead,
Mom.
Molly.
I was gonna say I will be 42 in April,
Mazel.
and I have not, as far as I know, I haven't experienced anything around perimenopause yet. I know obviously it's coming, that kind of thing, but I do have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which does then also mess with hormones or whatever it might be. And maybe that's where I have an advantage in this scenario, in that I've been dealing with it since I was 14 years old. So hormone fluctuations and like being bloated because I ate something that wouldn't normally bloat me, but now it's bloat because of, whatever, like those kinds of things don't really impact me maybe necessarily in the same way as somebody who is newly experiencing these hormone fluctuations. I think because I was always a bigger girl, it's like the same thing when I was pregnant with my children. I didn't like lose my mind over losing my body or it changing or not feeling at home in my body, because I knew what that felt like to live in a big body kind of deal. And it actually helped me to feel more at home in my body to have that experience with pregnancy twice. So I think like my experience around it is a little bit different. And for me, I'm always going to go back to self-compassion, and there's only so much information out there. I think we get this question often. We've talked about it on Food Junkies. We're talking about it here. We cover it, I feel like once a year, if not twice a year, in groups, that kind of thing. And I don't think that this is an information problem personally. I think it's more of an acceptance, and what are the things that we can do in those moments when we're feeling not at home in our body. So that I'm just going to throw that out there, because I'm sure you two have vastly different experiences. I just want to, and I know I'm often the odd one out, so I'll just get that out of the way. And yeah, you two talk
Is that
about
how you feel? Should we do an episode about that? Little love
we can talk about that. That's fine. Yeah.
Good.
It doesn't have to be today though. Like, yeah, we can do the
maybe
hormones and
another
we'll come back to this
episode.
one.
We'll do
Sure.
like a little process with
Yeah,
you.
sure. I'll be the crying Molly.
I mean, I'll probably cry about perimenopause.
I'll cry for both of you.
Yay!
I really love what you're saying. I have had like I'm in the very beginning of perimenopause. I think there's a wonderful woman named Kimberly Johnson. I had her on What You're Craving when I had it, and she's just a brilliant woman, lady, just smart as heck. She's been around, like it's like her soul has been here for 7 billion years. And she kind of says this. She's like, I don't know why we're making such a big deal of something that happens. And I think I struggle with that. Like what she says really resonates, because I think I have a hard time that this is happening. I don't know another way to say it. And I think that that's what you're saying, Molly. It's like, this isn't an information problem. This is a grief problem. Like when we're not accepting what is, we're usually avoiding grief.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, sorry to make this so existentially deep, but sort of a mortality thing, isn't it? Right? Like, and that our bodies are changing, and that our bodies change, and that maybe even I would have to be okay if I like when people say like, well, you just like gain weight during menopause. My first reaction is like, absolutely not. I will not be gaining weight. That will not be me. It will not be going to my belly. I mean, I turn into a psychopath control freak. And I'm not there yet, but I just want to say, I think all of those questions that people are having is like, give me the answer of how I won't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of how
Give
this
me
won't
the
happen
answer
to me.
of how
You
this
hear
doesn't
it.
have to happen for me. Give me
Yes.
this answer of how
All
I
the
don't have to
biohackers.
experience pain. It's like,
Yes.
That's not good.
Yeah, I think that that is exactly what you're saying is like acceptance is really the key. Like for my whole life, my cycle, my luteal phase has been the phase where I have returned to use with alcohol.
Oh.
And there's a lot of science behind this, right? Progesterone rises post ovulation. It increases metabolism by 10%. And for us, that means higher hunger levels. So when
Mm.
I with clients and myself, that's when I eat a little bit more food during my luteal phase. I
Wait,
also
does this mean like when I have my period?
this
My
is the
luteal phase?
yeah, so the luteal phase
Okay.
is about 12 to 14 days after ovulation. So it's the period right before your period.
Oh, okay, got it.
So then,
So
a
you're
lot of
going
people
shorter.
are always saying, like, oh, they're binging on their when they're maybe having their bleed week, but it's really the time before their bleed week that they need to be aware of. Because
Mhm.
this is because our metabolism goes crazy, we're hungrier and therefore we're looking for more energy dense foods, which is the ultra processed sugary foods, which
Mhm.
feels like cravings. And so the luteal phase does this. I don't know if anyone's interested, but I was interested because during this phase after ovulation, the body's trying to create this uterine lining to prepare for pregnancy. And if you don't get pregnant, that's the uterine lining that then we shed during the next period. So this cushion requires lots of energy, which also increases our resting metabolic rate, which means we burn 2 to 10% more calories than normal. There's also a huge fall of estrogen. And, again, estrogen is an appetite suppressant, which
Mm.
is also why in perimenopause, when estrogen starts to drop, people start to get hungrier. And estrogen also influences dopamine and serotonin and insulin. So, this leads to more emotional eating events. And, so there is science behind why this happens, but we can't change it. This is just the reality. And so
Right.
it's like, how do you deal with it? So if I'm somebody who's still cycling, I am somebody who's marking on my planner luteal phase every day. So I'm not starting to be like, why am I hungry? Or maybe what I'm doing is not working. Like there's a biological reason that this is happening to me. And if I'm, being mindful of when I'm starting to enter perimenopause, I'm going to start to be aware that, oh, my estrogen's dropping and I need to start to have a plan for this. Maybe I am somebody who explores HRT if it
Yeah.
is really,
That's hormone replacement therapy for
yes,
those of you. Yes.
estradiol, or going to see a naturopath or seeking out supports. Like there is supports and resources out there, but this is going to happen. All of these things are going to happen. There's nothing we can do to change it. So it's like, what is your recovery support plan around it?
Well, and
If
I
that
think it's important to mention too, if we're going for those interventions, they're not going to quote cure anything. They're meant to be tools to help bridge that time that feels really dysregulating or uncomfortable. And it's just meant to make it more manageable. It's not, again, it's not going to stop the inevitable.
exactly.
It's interesting. Maybe this isn't illegal, but like, we got an email about this from somebody, and so it sort of inspired the thing. And one of the things that she said in the email though was like, I'm really disconnected right now from people. And it just made me think about like the hormones sort of attached to connection. It's like, yes, like this is inevitable, like I'm with us, but I do think it's worsened by
Mhm.
being stressed about it, by being scared about it, by being disconnected in general. Like this idea of leaning into what is, this idea of like, as we would say in DBT, like radically accepting it, there just might be less grief if we
Mhm.
stop making it this huge deal. Like it's like I don't know, like I think there's a space where it's like as women, it's like, we're feeling I was just on a call about this. It's like we're feeling really empowered because that's like we're finally talking about this and like no one's ever talked about menopause, but like it's like a bunch of addicts that we are. Now we've like made it into this like big elephant. And now it's like, if you're not talking about it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite right sized about hormones yet because the way that vulture culture works, is like, oh my God, they're worried about it. Okay, well, let's start to sell them a bunch of things. There's
Right.
also, sorry, not to like talk about my podcast that's gone, but I also had this amazing gynecologist on, I forget her name, but she was saying that the amount of people that she has had to treat that got cancer because of taking these like snake oil pills, like
Oh,
all
yeah.
these people
Mhm.
trying to avoid, prolong, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not talking about HRT here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, to me, like, I think we still have to find, like, the answer's never the opposite. Like, it's not like we have to find a balanced way to exist in this world as aging women.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're nailing it, right? As soon as
Yeah.
somebody says this is a problem and we're the ones assigning value to it,
Oh, yeah.
right? So as soon as somebody says there's a problem, there is already now there's a coach for that. I know
Yeah.
your pain point and I am going to
Wait,
sell you the
do you
solution.
know that that's true? Do you know how many
Yes.
menopause coaches I've seen? I'm like, you've got
Yes.
it. If Kimberly Johnson saw that, she would lose her mind.
Yeah,
Like,
like
what is that even?
who
What do you
needs to be
coach them on?
your body has innate ancient internal wisdom. It knows what to do. This big old brain of yours has gotten in the way and has assigned a problem to it. And here's the other thing I think that
Wait, say
I
that
really
again,
lean
Molly. It's too important. I
Yes.
feel like it really got.
that your big brain gets in the way and assigns a problem to. Like,
Yeah,
yes,
but no,
the
your big
internal.
brain is like, I'm in menopause. That's a problem. I need to hire somebody to fix it. Like, that's not right.
Right.
Exactly. And maybe this is me getting older or me really leaning into my woo woo. I don't know. I'm actually kind of loving it. But have you guys ever heard of the grandmother hypothesis?
No.
No.
Yeah. So most mammals go through menopause. This isn't unique to humans. Did you know that? Like it's whales go through it, dolphins go through it, mammals go through menopause. And there
That's
is
a book title.
Yeah.
so there is like floating theory out there that that mammals go through menopause, that female mammals go through menopause because that then stops reproduction and allows for us to pass on knowledge. Now, keep in mind, men don't have that, right?
Yeah.
Men can reproduce
Men
until the
don't have
day they
knowledge.
die.
Is that what you're saying?
No, but they can reproduce until the day. And this isn't meant to be like a male bashing. But what I'm saying is that there, in this grandmother hypothesis, the theory is we shut down the ability to reproduce in the 40s or 50s because these individuals can pass on knowledge and they can help raise future generations, not just their children, but also their
Wow.
grandchildren or great grandchildren.
Wow. You're an elder.
That's
Exactly.
it. It's a rite of passage for women. And instead of
Wow.
seeing it as a problem that we go to the doctor for, and yes, go get the tools, go get the support that you need. I don't want people to needlessly suffer, but also can we lean into like, holy shit, like this is a rite of passage. This is something that you get to go through and it's so beautiful. It's not beautiful, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And I loved what Molly was saying too about like she's hearing that it's a problem of lack of connection. And yeah, your serotonin's dropping, but then you don't just be like, okay, like I don't know what to do. You're like, how do I find ways to get more serotonin in my life?
And I'm not sure it's like a menopause group, by the way. Like, I just want to say,
Right.
like,
No, I don't
I
think it
don't
is
think
either.
the
I think it's
solution to like, I'm having a hard time with
no.
menopause is to go like talk about
Men-
like, I
No.
think like what Molly P is saying, which is like, I'm an elder now. Like my mother just retired. I mean, and she worked for years and years. I mean, she's having a really hard time with it. It's very similar,
Yeah.
right? But now she's like taking French classes and, she's
I love
working
that.
at the pound at the, what,
Oh,
and like,
yeah,
she's just like, she's really like, she's seeing more friends that she didn't get to see. I think that, yeah, the serotonin's dropping, but it doesn't mean you get a menopause coach. Like it means
Yes.
that you like expand your horizons, find joy, in The Artist's Way, she says, you have to have these creative experiences so that you can have your like internal koi pond filled.
yeah. You know what this reminds me of is the episode we literally just recorded in like that giving away our power without consent.
Oh my God.
Talk
Yeah.
about giving away our power without consent. We're
Right.
like, oh, this is a problem and I can't
Menopause.
stop it.
Yeah.
And,
But I
and
mean,
certainly
that's
not
like,
to, yeah,
not to be
doing that
but
though.
like that's how the world got, like they tried, this is how like people are trying to do for women, is make us feel totally disempowered because we're losing
Yes.
our period. Like,
And
Mhm.
I'm
it
just
has to
as
be that way.
guilty of it to like have those moments, not necessarily around this specifically, but there are other things in my life where I'm like, like, what do I do? And I'm
Are
like,
you joking? When I heard you gain weight at menopause, I was like, well, I'm not doing menopause then. I mean, talk
yeah,
about me.
right. Like, you're just going to opt out. Just
I'm
opt
like,
out,
well,
Molly.
that's not going to happen for me. It may happen for everyone else, but I'm not doing menopause because I'm not gaining weight. Like, oh my God. Back to therapy she goes, you know?
I wish it were that easy. I wish it were that easy.
That was my first reaction. So I was like,
Yeah,
well,
right.
10 pounds in the belly. I was like, well, that's not happening for me. Like like, I don't know. Anyway.
No, it makes sense. I have to be honest. I've just really been trying to keep myself informed. So I figured out like what are the
You're
tests I
very
can get.
informed.
I've got all of the tests. So I know like right now I could be in perimenopause, but like my blood tests aren't necessarily showing it. But I just need to be aware for my own recovery. I have alcohol use disorder. I have food addiction. I need to know like when things are starting to shift. I myself have to be aware if I'm starting to feel like I'm going crazy, right? Which some people say that this is maybe what's happening. And so then I'm like, okay, this is menopause. And that already is making me feel safer and that it's not something else going on.
I just like maybe want to get a new outfit for being an elder. That's what I'm thinking. Like maybe I want a new style, like maybe some muumuus, you know? Just like house coat dressing. I just think I could really step into this elder role. Is all. Like maybe I'll start wearing a little crown every now and then. You know, I don't know.
Ooh.
I'm just starting to think about it. Like, you know, I'm like,
you have to wear it here to our meetings. I
In a
want to
different
see
way.
Molly in the crown.
Okay. I think I'm the oldest one in the group, so I'm probably the one who hits there first.
You get to be the grandmother of the group, and not in a negative way. I
I'm
think that's
here
the other
for
thing that I
it.
want people to take away from this is, you know, I don't see this as a negative thing at all.
Yeah.
And I
And that's a
certainly
choice.
don't.
Listen, put this
Yeah.
out there. It's like you could be like Molly if you want to. A belief is a repeated thought. If you want to start to have the thought, oh, menopause isn't so bad after all, start it now, get it integrated. Like get out of the fear cycle. Like you don't have to live in this menopause coach 30-day menopause challenge, whatever the heck is happening with this menopause thing, which is just what happens with everything else, right? Like get out of it. Just say, hey, that's something that happens. And I'm just going to like lean in and get as informed as I can and become an elder. Here we are.
Exactly. So do like Clarissa says, like keep yourself informed. Like if you want to know that that's coming, if that helps you, you know, I think about that, like as I'm raised, when my babies were little, you know, there's like the book, what to expect when you're expecting, what to expect the first year. Surprisingly, they don't have anything like what to expect when they're 12, which is unfortunate. Somebody should write that book. Hint, hint. But you know, like get like have an idea of what the roadmap could look like. You have, right? You know that destination is coming. You get to pick the detours. You get to decide, am I going to eat things that are supportive of my hormones? Am I going to eat things that are disruptors of my hormones? Am I going to engage in connection with others in a meaningful way that fills my cup? Or do I do better being the witch in the woods where, you know, whatever, I don't know. So we're talking about crone and grandmother. I'm just like, what are we doing? So, you know, I think stop giving away your power without consent.
Of course.
Take it back, get informed, and lean into this idea of you're not getting out of this life alive. You're not getting out of being a person with a uterus without going through menopause. Like it's happening.
MP, I'm surprised you're not in menopause. You're such an elder right now.
I know. I feel like you are giving us wise spiritual.
I just
world.
am. And
I think I'm in my peak
I hope you're watching on
sexual stuff
YouTube.
though. I think
because I feel like her like fish, what is it called? A fish, whatever braid is like really like the whole vibe. Like I'm just like, tell me more, grandma. I'm here for it.
Maybe I need to show up with the muumuu and my little
it's
braids.
2 braids. Oh God, I just like, the whole thing. I'm like, grandma, can you just like coach me through life today? I'm really here for this.
Totally. Yeah. Come on over. Come on over.
Very
it's beautiful
icy
in Montana. Minus 20 with wind chill right now.
Yeah, Montana's very icy. Ice is one of my big fears. So I'll come over in like March or April.
Definitely. Yeah, do. We'll go to Yellowstone. So we want to hear from you. Obviously, folks, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you're going through because chances are we've experienced it or we're going through it or we have opinions on it. So be sure to email us at asktheshrinks@foodshrinks.com. Thanks for listening to Food Shrinks. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for guidance suited to your needs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach others on the recovery journey. Take care, and remember, freedom with food is possible. See you next time.